Think about the last time you bought your pet's food online.
Yeah, that highly specific brand you always get.
Right. And if that brand, quietly raised their price by $5 tomorrow, would you instantly switch to a cheaper alternative?
I mean, probably not.
Exactly. If you're like most pet owners, absolutely not. The pure, unfiltered emotional terror of giving your dog a stomach ache or dealing with a cat who simply refuses to eat completely outweighs your own monthly budget.
Oh, totally. You just pay the extra
You
$5.
just pay it.
Yeah.
And today, we are looking at an industry that, well, weaponizes that exact mix of fear and love.
It is the absolute definition of a hard overhead marketplace. I mean, when we optimize for utility and cost in almost every other area of our lives, the pet space is where rational math just completely goes out the window.
And that intense emotional landscape is exactly why we are going on a deep dive today. We are unpacking an incredibly dense, comprehensive B2B playbook on how to build, launch, and actually grow an online pet brand using Shopify.
Yeah, it's a really fascinating source document, about 25 minutes of pure strategy.
Right. We're talking about everything from the deep trenches of supply chain compliance to, the specific software architecture you need just to survive.
Because it's a space where a lot of passionate people lose a huge amount of money because they don't understand the underlying mechanics.
Yeah. And our mission today is to shortcut that learning curve for you. Whether you are an aspiring entrepreneur, a total e-commerce nerd, or just wildly curious about why that highly specific bag of joint health kibble you buy operates the way it does, we've got you covered.
It's going to be a fun one.
Okay, let's unpack this. The pet niche is structurally fascinating because of that deep emotional connection you have with the end user, which is the pet. But how does that actually translate into a business model?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the pet industry is essentially a masterclass in recurring revenue, provided you don't fall into a few very specific, very expensive trapdoors.
Right, because everyone thinks it's just easy money.
Exactly. Structurally, it's one of the best e-commerce niches you can possibly enter because of the raw purchase frequency. But that exact same structure makes the math incredibly unforgiving.
It's like a paradox, right?
It is. It's highly lucrative, but brutally hard to survive the first year.
So let's break down the math of that paradox. I mean, it really all comes down to lifetime value, or LTV, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Let's look at consumables. So the food, the treats, the daily supplements.
The stuff they use up.
Right. These items have a natural biological expiration date. A dog has to eat, which means the customer is practically forced into a reorder cycle of roughly 30 to 60 days.
Wow. Every 30 days like clockwork.
Yeah, and that compounding LTV is the absolute prize of the entire industry. I mean, you acquire a customer once and they pay you 12 times a year.
Which sounds amazing until you look at the margins.
Right. The brutal reality of that prize is severe margin compression.
Meaning the actual profit you make on a single bag of food is just tiny.
Minuscule. Dry food gross margins run incredibly tight, usually hovering around 30 to 40%.
Ouch.
Yeah. Now, contrast that with a generic lifestyle brand selling, I don't know, dog toys or accessories. Those easily boast 50 to 70% margins.
I mean, it sounds like dating someone with very expensive taste. The emotional connection is incredibly high, but the daily cost of admission is just rough.
That's a pretty perfect way to put it.
Like if you're only making a 30% margin on a bag of dog food and you're spending money on Facebook ads or Google search just to acquire that customer, you are probably losing money on that first sale, right?
No, you are almost definitely losing money on order number one.
So how does a brand even survive?
They survive entirely by banking on that compounding repeat purchase rate. A food brand carries the lowest per order margin, but the highest reorder count.
Got it.
To survive, you are betting heavily that the customer will stay with you not just for months, but for years.
Which goes back to that emotional terror we talked about at the beginning. Because think about it, if your dog's stomach is happy on a specific kibble, you are not touching that diet.
Never! You lock it in!
Right. That incredible stickiness is why these brands will happily lose money on your first order. They just need to get their product into your dog's bowl once.
Precisely. But surviving those tight margins entirely depends on exactly what you decide to sell right out of the gate.
Yeah, which brings us to the most crucial choice a founder makes, right? The product categories.
Yep. And there is a massive graveyard of dead pet brands that tried to be everything to everyone.
The source guide is super clear on this. Multi-category launches almost always fail.
They do. If you try to launch, custom food and memory foam beds and leather leashes all on day one, you're doomed. You have to pick one primary lane.
Because it's just too much overhead.
Focus is literal survival here.
No.
So let's compare the three main options. You have consumables, which we just discussed,
Highest repeat rate, but heaviest operational load.
and the lowest margins exactly. Then you have durables, things like toys, beds, travel carriers.
And those get replaced, what, maybe every 6 to 24 months?
Around there, yeah. They have a much better margin, but they are incredibly bulky to ship, and we'll definitely get into the shipping nightmare later.
Oh, can't wait for that. And the third category?
Accessories. So collars, leashes, custom ID tags, these offer a massive 50 to 65% margin
Wow.
and very low compliance hurdles. Logistically, they're the easiest to launch.
So if I'm a founder looking at this menu, it feels like I should just start with the easy stuff, the accessories, right?
What's fascinating here is that the smartest play, according to the overarching data in the guide, is launching with either a hyper-focused line of accessories or a single hero consumable.
Wait, a hero consumable, like just one item?
Exactly. Think of one highly specific joint supplement, not a whole massive catalog of dog food.
Oh, I see.
You launch that one focused category, you use it to acquire customers and build a robust email list, and you only expand into adjacent SKUs, those new related stock keeping units in year 2, once your cash flow is stable.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. Because when we talk about launching a product, we have to talk about how you actually source it.
Yeah, sourcing is where people get into trouble.
Right. And right now, drop shipping is like the absolute golden child of internet side hustles. Everyone online pitches it as the ultimate business model.
They really do.
Zero upfront capital, you just build a nice Shopify storefront, and when someone orders a dog bed, a third-party supplier mails it directly to them. I mean, why wouldn't I just drop ship pet supplies to avoid putting 20 grand into inventory?
Because the guide makes it very clear, drop shipping is strictly a validation tool. It is not a long-term model for a serious pet brand, and relying on it is incredibly dangerous.
Really? Because never having to touch a cardboard box sounds pretty ideal to me.
It does sound nice, but you pay for that convenience in massive operational risk. Here is the reality of dropshipping. You are essentially pulling generic items from a massive anonymous warehouse, usually overseas.
Okay.
And 1,000 other quote-unquote brands are selling the exact same item with a different digital sticker.
Yep.
You have absolutely zero control over the manufacturing process.
And that emotional connection we talked about, it goes both ways, doesn't it?
Exactly. If you inherit a quality control problem, say a drop-shipped chew toy breaks and actually harms a dog, it is your brand's name and reputation on the line.
Oh, man, yeah. You can't just blame the generic supplier. The internet will destroy your brand overnight.
One bad viral review and you're done.
Ouch.
Oh.
Okay, so how do the serious players do it then?
Serious brands default to the private label model. This is where you work directly with a contract manufacturer to create your own uniquely branded, tested products.
But that's got to be expensive.
It requires real commitment. You are looking at a minimum order quantity, or MOQ, of typically $5,000 to $25,000 just to get the factory to turn on the machines.
So you need some serious starting capital.
You do, but in exchange, you control the ingredients, you control the safety testing, and you actually unlock those healthy 45 to 65% margins.
Okay, so let's play this out. You've paid your $25,000 minimum order to the factory. You've sourced your perfect private label hero product. Your warehouse is totally full of inventory.
This is like a dream.
Right. You're ready to print money. Except the moment you try to actually mail one of those products to a customer, you hit two massive financial trapdoors: the government and the physical reality of shipping.
The invisible moats of the pet industry. Let's start with compliance.
The government side.
Yeah. If you master it, it protects your business, it keeps lazy competitors out. But if you ignore it, it will literally shut you down.
Especially if you went the consumables route, like food or supplements.
Oh, absolutely. For food, treats, and supplements, you are dealing with actual FDA oversight.
Wow, really? The
Yeah.
FDA?
Yes. You also have to follow the AAFCO model rules. That's the Association of American Feed Control Officials. They set the nutritional standards for what can legally be called complete and balanced pet food.
That sounds complicated.
And on top of that, you have to do annual product registrations in almost every individual state where you sell.
Wait, registering a dog treat state by state, that sounds like an absolute bureaucratic nightmare.
It is a lot of paperwork. but it's the labeling that really trips people up.
Right, the guide mentioned something about health claims.
Yeah. The number one violation in this niche, the thing that triggers massive federal fines, not just friendly warning letters, is making illegal health claims on your packaging.
So if I have a private label supplement and I put, cures canine arthritis or prevents separation anxiety on the bottle, I've crossed the line.
You haven't just crossed the line, you've made a disease claim. In the eyes of the FDA, the moment you claim to cure, treat, or prevent a disease, your dog treat is legally classified as an unapproved new drug.
Oh, wow. So they treat it like a pharmaceutical.
Yep. And getting formal FDA drug approval takes years of clinical trials and millions of dollars. What you are allowed to use is structure-function language.
Okay, so I have to piece this together carefully. If saying cures joint disease is highly illegal, I can probably say something like supports healthy joints.
Exactly. Supports joint health is a structure-function claim. It describes the normal function of the body. But a few wrong words on a label can trigger a massive product recall.
That is terrifying.
And this doesn't just apply to food, by the way. There is a secondary oversight body called the CPSC, the Consumer Product Safety Commission, that has an overlay for pet toys.
Wait, I thought the CPSC was for human children's toys.
They are. But if a pet toy could plausibly be played with by a child, which, let's be real, is almost all of them, you have to be able to document supplier testing.
Testing for what exactly?
Things like lead paint, phthalates, and small parts choking hazards.
Which brings us right back to why that cheap overseas dropshipping model is so terrifying. I mean, good luck tracking down a valid, certified lead paint test for a $2 generic dog toy from a dropshipper.
You won't find one. It's impossible.
Okay, so you've navigated the FDA, your labels use the correct structure function language, and your toys are totally lead-free. Let's talk about the physical shipping trapdoor.
Ah, yes, the post office.
Yeah. There is this silent killer in the pet space known as the 40-pound food bag problem.
This is where businesses silently bleed to death, order by order. If you treat a bulky dog bed or a heavy bag of kibble as a normal package, it will often cost more to ship than the actual profit you make on the item.
This all comes down to a logistical mechanism called dimensional weight.
Right.
And the easiest way to understand dimensional weight is to imagine trying to mail a fully inflated balloon. If you put a balloon in a mailbox, the post office isn't charging you for the microscopic weight of the rubber.
No, of course not.
Right. They're taxing you on the massive amount of air taking up valuable space in their truck.
That is a perfect analogy. Carriers like UPS, FedEx, and the Postal Service have a very strict formula for this. They calculate dimensional weight by taking the length times the width times the height of your box and dividing it by a specific carrier divisor.
And the guide mentions that divisor is usually between 139 and 166 for domestic ground shipping, right?
Exactly.
So they literally put your box on a scale to get the actual weight, and then they run that math formula to get the dimensional weight.
Yes. And here's the kicker. They will always bill you for whichever number is greater.
Oh, wow.
So that incredibly light, fluffy dog bed might only weigh 3 pounds on a physical scale, but because the box is massive, the dimensional weight formula might calculate it at 30 pounds.
So you are paying to ship 30 pounds of air.
Exactly.
How do you not just bleed money on every single transaction?
You have to build a highly specific shipping logic into your storefront. First, before you even launch, you have to test pack every single SKU in its final cardboard box so you know the exact dimensions beforehand.
No guessing allowed.
No guessing. Second, instead of using real-time carrier rates at checkout, which can unpredictably spike and scare customers away, you build a flat rate by weight band table.
Making it predictable for both you and the customer.
Right. And third, if you are shipping raw or frozen pet food that requires dry ice and cold chain logistics, you absolutely must restrict those sales to geographic zones that are reachable within 2 days via standard ground shipping.
Because if you don't,
if you allow a customer across the country to order frozen food, the expedited overnight air shipping will instantly bankrupt you on that single order.
this makes so much sense when you think about your own experience buying heavy pet supplies. Have you ever wondered why a website suddenly says, "We don't ship to your state"? Or why a brand's free shipping threshold is weirdly high? Like free shipping on orders over $125.
Yeah, they aren't just being greedy.
Right. They are mathematically protecting their margins against that dimensional weight reality.
And that kind of preventative thinking applies to the compliance stuff, too. The only real solution is to hire a veterinary regulatory consultant to review your packaging before you print a single label.
Better safe than sorry.
Absolutely. Fixing a non-compliant label after you launch, doing a recall, issuing refunds, absorbing the hit to your brand costs infinitely more than paying for a pre-launch review.
Okay, so you've got a compliant product and you've mapped out your shipping logic so you aren't paying for air. Now you need to get the customer to buy it every single month to capture that holy grail of lifetime value.
The LTV engine.
Yes, and that requires a very specific software architecture on your Shopify store.
Yes. The tech stack is the actual engine of recurring revenue, and the foundation of that is choosing the right tier of Shopify plan.
Which is funny because a lot of people think upgrading from basic Shopify to the advanced plan is just about unlocking fancier website features.
Yeah, they think it's just aesthetic or reporting features.
But it's actually about the math of credit card transaction fees, isn't it?
Precisely. As your monthly card volume increases, the lower transaction fees offered on the higher tier plans eventually pay for the upgrade itself.
Makes sense.
But for a pet brand, there's a multiplier effect. Because subscriptions are the single biggest revenue lever in pet consumables, your volume of transactions compounds much faster than, say, a standard apparel store.
This raises an important question, though. If subscriptions are so obviously the key to survival, why do so many pet brands fail to get customers to actually opt in?
Because they hide the option. The single highest leverage design decision a store owner can make is on their product detail page, the PDP. You must show the subscribe and one-time purchase options side by side.
I'm like visually comparing them right there.
Right. You have to make the numerical savings, showing exactly how much cash they save by subscribing, and the delivery cadence choice is completely obvious before they even click the Add to Cart button.
Okay, I get the business logic of that. But as a consumer, I have to be honest. I hate feeling trapped. I get massive anxiety when I sign up for a subscription if I can't easily find the cancel button.
I think we all do.
Right. Doesn't making it easy to cancel hurt the business's bottom line?
It's actually the exact opposite. A confrontational, hard-to-find cancellation flow burns the customer relationship entirely. If they have to email support to cancel, they will never, ever buy from you again.
That's very true. I've boycotted brands over that.
Exactly. The winning structural approach is friction-free self-service. You want a very specific 3-click flow.
Walk me through this psychology of those 3 clicks.
So on the first click to cancel, you don't actually cancel them. You offer the customer an option to simply pause the subscription. Say they're going on a 2-week vacation and don't need dog food piling up on the porch.
Oh, that's smart. You solved their immediate problem.
Right. If they click past the pause option, the second click offers a cadence change. Maybe they still have half a bag of food left because their dog is eating less. So instead of shipping every 30 days, they just click a button to switch to every 45 days.
So again, you're adjusting to their reality without losing the overall LTV.
Exactly. And only on the third click is the actual cancellation processed. By giving them those easy self-serve off-ramps, you keep buyers in your ecosystem who just needed a slight logistical adjustment rather than forcing them to cancel out of pure frustration.
That is brilliant. But all of this beautiful, friction-free subscription technology is essentially useless if you don't have traffic landing on the page to use it.
That is the hard truth.
Which brings us to marketing. Advertising on Meta or TikTok is incredibly expensive. How does a pet brand acquire customers without blowing a massive ad budget?
By leaning into the fundamental reality of pet ownership, the pet space has one of the most generous earned media surfaces in all of e-commerce.
Because people just love their pets.
Because people are absolutely obsessed with posting photos and videos of their dogs and cats.
So what does this all mean? It means your customers are basically your unpaid marketing department.
Pretty much.
I actually realized recently that I completely fell for this strategy. I bought a puzzle toy for my dog, and exactly a week after it arrived, I got this really casual automated email just asking to see a picture of him playing with it.
Yep, the day 7 flow.
Yeah. Then on day 14, I got an email asking for a review, and it pre-populated the photo I had already sent them.
You experience the exact user-generated content, or UGC, engine that drives the best brands. It scales automatically. It costs absolutely nothing per asset.
That's crazy.
And the raw, authentic cell phone picture of your happy dog chewing a toy vastly outperforms a highly polished $5,000 professional studio shoot when you use it for ads. Authenticity wins in this space.
Okay, so UGC is huge, but what about getting out from behind the computer? I know the guide mentions pushing local partnerships, like giving sample stock to local vets or groomers.
Yeah, local distribution.
But let me push back on that for a second. Are you telling me a veterinarian with a packed waiting room and back-to-back appointments is going to take the time to hawk my random new dog treats? Vets are incredibly busy.
They are busy, but you have to understand the psychology of their business. You aren't asking them to be a salesman.
Okay, what am I asking them to do?
You are giving them a tool to delight their own clients. If you provide a groomer or a vet with high-quality, beautifully packaged free samples, it makes them look fantastic when they hand it to a customer at the end of an appointment as a premium freebie.
Oh, I see.
And for you, it generates highly qualified trials because the recommendation comes from a trusted local professional. It's a reciprocal relationship.
That makes a lot of sense. The trust transfers to your brand.
Yeah.
What about organic online traffic? Obviously, a startup can't compete with Amazon for a search term like dog food.
No, you will lose that battle every single time.
Yeah.
The strategy here is long-tail SEO. You optimize your website URLs and your page titles, your H1 tags, for highly specific breeds and life stages.
So instead of competing for dog food, I'm optimizing for, like, senior bulldog joint supplement.
Exactly. Because the person searching for senior bulldog joint supplement isn't just browsing. They are deep in the research phase, and they have their credit card in their hand, ready to buy a solution.
I love that. So next time you get an email asking for a cute picture of your dog exactly 1 week after a package arrives, you will know exactly what automated Shopify flow you are fueling.
It's all part of the architecture.
We have covered some serious ground today. All right. To wrap up this deep dive, let's look at the big picture. If you're going to launch a pet brand, there are 3 fatal mistakes you absolutely have to avoid according to the source material.
The big 3.
First, making illegal health claims, like saying your product cures anxiety without FDA drug approval. Second, underpricing your shipping on bulky items because you didn't calculate for the physical reality of dimensional weight. And third, launching a consumables brand without an obvious side-by-side subscription path, leaving all that recurring lifetime value on the table.
Avoid those 3 trapdoors, and you actually have a fighting chance to build something sustainable.
But before we go, we always like to leave you with something a little deeper to mull over on your own.
Yeah, we've talked a lot about how the pet industry uses highly specific life stage and breed categorizations to drive that sticky recurring revenue. But here is the lingering challenge.
What happens as the pet gets older?
Exactly. What happens to a brand's relationship with the consumer when a pet simply ages out of those specific life stage products? If your entire brand identity, your marketing, and your subscription engine are built fundamentally around high-energy puppy nutrition, how do you pivot that deeply emotional relationship when that same dog inevitably becomes a senior without making the customer feel like they are starting from zero with a stranger?
That is a massive structural challenge for long-term retention because you're not just selling calories in a bag. Your brand is literally aging alongside a member of their family. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep looking beneath the surface of your everyday e-commerce experiences. There is always a hidden architecture deciding what ends up in your cart. We'll catch you next time.